Mhm.
Well, it's better late than never, folks. It's one of those days. But that's how it is in these lazy days, these summer times. Sometimes, sometimes things go unplanned. Sometimes plans go unthinged. This
Sure.
is JWC live stream. This is today's story autopsy, classic story autopsy with Ricky and Tom. I'm Ricky on the surface of the sun.
I'm
That's
Tom.
Tom over up there.
Woo.
Uh, and we're here to bring you your weekly dose of creativity. And story autopsy provides it's a formula we've been doing for a couple years now. And first and foremost, we want to let you know that inspiration is the highest coin in the realm, and that Tom and I are creative obsessors. We're constantly writing, constantly outlining, creating, setting down for new projects, reading books, researching, and it's a blast. We wouldn't have it any other way. Creative obsessors are constantly thinking about their projects, their writing, and writing every chance that we get. Best thing to know how is to do a creative check-in so that people get the idea that we're not just whistling Dixie here. It's not to say nanny nanny boo boo. It's to say be inspired. Like we do it. Tom and I work and we do this. So it's like be inspired. Don't worry about whether you're going to write, oh, when am I going to get to write? Just have fun. Make it be about fun. Tom, when you write, you're having fun, aren't you?
Oh, a blast. Yeah. I hate to stop.
That's very, very good. He hates to stop. Write that down, folks. That's how it is with creativity. You get episodic satisfaction and you only wish that you could go on. So, Tom, how have you been and how's your creativity going, man?
Oh, it's been excellent.
Mm.
Just started I'm cut off on my computer. We're getting our kitchen redone, so I'm not typing anything, but I'm doing a lot of longhand work. I just started a new John Penkram story called Snowblind. And it
Mm.
starts off with a young woman who owns a restaurant. There's a lakeside resort in northern Kentucky, and she goes out at midnight to catch frogs for her frog leg stew, and or just her
Mm.
fried frog legs. And she disappears. And 6 hours later, the local deputy goes out to see what's going on, finds her car, walks out, goes into a fog bank, and also disappears. And so one thing leads to another, and somebody who knows about what John Penkram does calls him and says, I think I've got something going on here, very much like what you dealt with in one of your other stories that took place on the New Jersey coast. Same fog bank, same disappearances, same people being ripped to shreds by something. So he comes out there, and as he lands, this will sound familiar to you. As he lands, he goes into the sheriff's office to say hello. A major snowstorm hits, and it's expected
Mm.
to last 3 days. And meantime, whatever is in the fog looks at the storm and says, I could use this storm as a cover and just go and kill at will, and they won't know we're here. So it's kind of like a siege in this little resort town against
Mm.
these creatures that you can't see.
Mm.
You can't see 2 feet in front of your face because of the snow, and wouldn't be a good idea to go walking outside. So
It sounds like both a nightmare and the greatest horror movie that could be made in the next year if anybody had the sense they were born with. Like, I mean, you have to budget a snow making machine so that you just have an endless blizzard, or I guess maybe you use fake snow if you have no other choice. But it would just be it would be fantastic to somehow be able to recreate those conditions. And that's, first of all, that story sounds great. I can't wait till you write it so that we can hear it, so that, you know, it's like that sounds like a great idea. And Penkrum's going to be all over that, you know. So yeah,
And
keep us posted on that.
yeah, it's not going to turn out as good as he's anticipating, because right now he belongs to the International Fortean League, which is a worldwide organization investigating all sorts of paranormal things, and he thinks everything's going to go hunky dory, and he's going to find out, you know, bureaucracy is going to hit him like a back truck, and that's all. That's not really a spoiler, but it's just it'll be interesting.
Sounds it.
Yeah.
What else you cooking with? What else you doing?
I put the House of the Wolfman to bed for a month or so, just to let it simmer.
No,
And
I get it. I get it. I have projects like that too.
yeah. So I'll just the Pencrum story will take a little while. It's about 4,500 words at the moment. That's maybe half. You know, and depends on how long this siege goes against these creatures. And you know, we'll have to see what brews. I have so many notes for so many stories that I might grab my Pencrum novel, Menace of the Snows, about a hunt for a rabid Bigfoot, and I might dip into that. That might be a good project for the summer.
Yeah, please do, because I bet you would you do a number on that one. I know you're saying you got it exists already, but you got to like touch it up or whatever.
I wrote it around 1985-ish, so it's really had enough time to stew. And I'm a much different writer than I was then, so it should have a lot of depth, and there's a lot more I've learned about the Bigfoot investigating and etc. since then, and
there's a lot to be said about that. I would love it if we could do a bookcraft show about your technique of picking up a manuscript. Like, in other words, just like you're saying, you wrote that in 85, which is trippy, the fact that that's the case. So you wrote it in 85 and now you're picking it up today. Like, how do you approach that? Like, what's your process? Like, how would you, is there even a process, or are you just going to take it? Because I know you're a pantser, Tom. And you know, you have a facility with that where you can just pick stuff up and start writing. Some of us need outlines, some of us need structure, but for you, maybe picking something up from 1985 isn't going to be a big deal at all. You know, maybe next week or in a coming Bookcraft episode, we could talk about that.
Yeah, I'd love what I'm thinking about doing with it. Yeah, rather than here. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things I could do, and I probably will do, and I think it's going to be very interesting. I think I'm as soon as this one's done, Snowblind, I'll dip into I'll grab that.
Yeah, because I have some books. I have Cyberdonia 1 is like 70% rewritten, and I still have some tinkering to do with it. And Cyberdonia 2 is doing okay outline wise, but it's going to need a lot more work, and it's just because I wrote those back in 2011. So it's like, you know, coming back to a manuscript that's been sitting around for a while, it'd just be interesting to get into the thought space.
Right.
So anyway, as far as my creativity is concerned, I was working on this thing, Journey to the Mountain, and I was working on another project called Z Nowhere, which are part of two different collections that I'm trying to work on. And I did I'd say 14,000 words of each. And I just put them aside, like you're saying, like they backburnered, because I'm working on this new thing called Doomfield. There's this, it's science fiction, deep space science fiction. And there's a female captain, but she's got a lot of problems. She's not by the book at all. And she has, in her docking bay is this elder god from another dimension. And it's basically taken over her ship. Like, all of her engineers are compromised by its telepathic intrusion. And it's using the ship as a mixing pot for its own fuel equations because it's like trying to get back home, but it's playing her. It's like, yeah, but I can help you find things that your people need. And she's buying it because it's helped her career. And she's kind of like trapped with it. But her other crewmates, they're not oblivious. Like they're starting to get wind of it. And it's the usual ambassador thing. Like, there's the ambassadors from this planet. They're having problems with ambassadors from that planet. And there's a little bit of humor there too, a lot of characters, a lot of tropes. And I'm looking for, I have it more than halfway outlined and I'm just looking forward to getting to it. And I've been editing Athenaeum. I'm more than halfway done with my chapters of that, because we want to get that to an editor pretty soon, like end of summer. So, as you can see, folks, Tom and I have a lot of irons in the fire creatively. And that's the way it's got to be, because the minute one project goes away, there has to be another port for your muse ship to sail into. You know what I mean? So now I got this Doomfield thing, and I just can't wait to throw down chapters. But it's almost there, maybe a week or two, hopefully. And then I'd like to bring one on the show and read it, like maybe the first chapter. I'm still working some stuff out with it, but it's really, really fun to do. And that's the key. So, Tom, you have anything to read today for us?
Sure. So I'll start off with a story called The Dark Stranger. There it is. Alrighty.
Cool.
All right. Let's move this sucker over here. All right. Well, come on, you. Stay over there. Where is she? Bob wondered aloud as he turned from his eyes from the band. They had come all this way in the humidity and the hazy sun to see dark strangers play. Now they were on, and Bob had spent his time looking for Sarah. Should he wait for the first song to finish? This one had always been his favorite. He could now see how drummer Black Eyes Hayes managed to get the sound that made every hair on his body stand up. Hayes had always been a true artist. Bob smelled some weed on the wind, wafting off to his left. Now he wanted some, but security moved through the crowd faster than a jackrabbit. A big man in a uniform brushed past him. "Excuse me, sir," he said. Bob nodded and stepped aside. The guard needed a shower and some aftershave. That was close, he thought. He watched two burly, sweaty men escort a skinny, balding bozo away. Bob saw a waffle cake stand over near the bathrooms. If he couldn't have a smoke, he'd have a greasy snack. A sound caught his eye, and Bob looked toward the porta potties. No sign of his girlfriend. All the Johns were occupied. No way he was going to knock on all of them looking for her. He'd hang out by the Zapoli stand and eat while he waited for her. "Can I help you, Mac?" asked the man at the stand. His teeth looked like he chewed glass. The lips were split and covered with sores. "Yeah, give me a waffle cake." "That'll be $3. The man gestured to a 10-gallon pickle jar, half filled with dollars. Bob dropped the bills into the jar, noting how the interior reeked of pickles. The grease-laden stand could use a good match, Bob thought. He watched the guy pour the gooey mass into the boiling oil. The oil's color looked dark and thick. Maybe the waffle cake was not a good idea. Bob took the brown, powdery mass from the creepy man. It looked as good as any he had ever eaten. "Thanks." Bob walked off, holding the plastic fork in his hand. An open spot on a bench by the toilets gave him some relief from standing. His band moved on to a third song, one Bob had first heard as a kid. He closed his eyes and moved to the rhythm. All thoughts of Sarah and his cake gone. The wind picked up, bringing with it the nasty odor of a dozen ill-cleaned portable toilets. Gagging, Bob moved away. His first bite of the waffle cake tasted like the toilets to him. He shook his head and looked for a place to dump it. A wastebasket sat behind the first toilet, stuffed to bursting. "What the hell," he said. "It's not the worst thing I've eaten." He sliced off another bite and ate it. The cake tasted better. Bob concentrated on enjoying the sounds from the band, the crowd, and even the sizzle of the fires on his right. Someone came up behind him. The man bumped into him, causing Bob to drop his cake onto the open ground at his feet. The man, dressed all in black, kept moving. "Hey, buddy," said Bob. "Watch where you're going." The man in black hesitated. He brought his feet together as if to turn to face Bob. Seconds later, he moves off into the crowd. As Bob watched, the man raised one hand, giving Bob the finger. Really? Bob's reactions ran from annoyance to near rage. He looked over at the toilets and saw Sarah emerge. She waved to him. Bob smiled and then looked at the man who had bumped into him. The man edged closer to the stage, his face hidden behind a hood. Bob nodded and waved to Sarah. The jerk was not going to get away from knocking his food from his hand. Bob moved toward across the asphalt walkway and slowly through the crowd. They were all enjoying the music and the band as the song neared its climax. Black Eyes Hayes' arms moved in a blur, his trademark double sticks moving in a pattern Bob had studied for years. The man in black raised his arm, pointing it toward Hayes. Bob saw the gun at the end of the hand. "No," said Bob as he shoved his way toward the dark-clad man. Just as Bob reached the man, the gun fired. The sound ripped through Bob's ears, blurring his vision. The crowd shrieked and shouted. Bob grabbed the man's arm as the second shot rang out. "What are you doing?" asked Bob. The man in the hood turned to look at Bob. Bob's blood froze in his veins. The face was cracked and bloated, his teeth jagged and sharp. The man in black pulled away, shoving Bob to the ground with a swing of his arm. Bob fell to the ground, his head bleeding from where the man had hit him with the gun. Something hit the ground near Bob. Bob looked down. The gun. It sat right in his hands. Bob tried to stand up. "It's him!" someone shouted. "This guy shot Hayes." Someone grabbed Bob and hauled him to his feet. Bob heard a siren come closer. A fist smashed into Bob's face, splitting his lip. Bob tasted blood. "It wasn't me," Bob said. "It was that guy." Bob pointed to where the man in black had been going. The man was gone. "Come on, we can still catch him." Bob moved to stand up. "You ain't going nowhere, fella." The crowd gathered, hate in their eyes. Bob smelled sweat, beer, and cigarette smoke. His head swam as he tried to get someone's attention. "Look, it was that guy in the black hood," said Bob. Half a dozen people turned to look where Bob had indicated. One even climbed up on the stage to search the crowd and beyond. "There's no one with a hood, black or otherwise." "Someone else shot Hayes. It was the guy with sharp teeth and a hood, not me." "Then why is the gun by your feet?" said the guy with the biker's jacket. His face got right up to Bob's, and his look did not promise a peaceful talk. His breath made Bob blink. The guy's missing teeth reminded Bob of a picket fence. "It's not my gun. No, no." "Can you prove it?" "Well, my fingerprints won't be on it." "Ah, smart guy. What do you say, fellas? Do we make him pay for the killing Black Eyes Hayes?" The crowd roared. They picked Bob up by the belt and shoved him over the biggest fellow's shoulder. Someone punched Bob in the face. His arms were pinned in the grip of a huge, beer-soaked biker. Pain flared for a moment, and Bob blacked out. Just a little exercise in crowds.
Wow. Wow. I mean, first of all, really, really great. Really, really great details. Really, really great voice. Talking about the stinks and the atmosphere, the off-putting food, and then we're in the middle of this crowd, and I've been to a few shows back in the day, so it was easy for me, accessible for me to just pick up and get in there. And then just the concept of what you're doing, where there's some kind of wraith, whether it was a costume or something supernatural. It's it's like the specter of death arrives with this gun. And then it's great what you did there, considering the word budget, that it's so quick, but it's like there's this plunging sense of doom, like the minute that the main character gets confused and misidentified for this killer. And then he's like a madman. He's over there. And everybody's like, "No, buddy, it's you." And then there's this vigilante justice that seems like it's gonna be showing up. So that's
Yeah.
just a good old fashioned doomed scenario for that guy.
It would be sort of like if let's name somebody. If if someone had the same situation, if someone had shot, I just made up a guy's name, but someone had shot, we'll do John Lennon, or American, do an American, some great American singer, uh, let's say Bob Dylan. If Bob Dylan was up there and someone came up and shot him and then threw the guy the gun, and there's a lot of people that they're there to watch him. They've been following him for 50 years or whatever, and all of a sudden someone shoots him, and there'd be everybody would want to kill the guy who did it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it actually reminds me. It reminds me a little bit of the story of the heavy metal band Pantera. Their bassist, some guy just walked up and shot him on stage.
Wow.
So that's where I went with it, but the telling of it, I mean, there are parallels, but the telling of it and the voice of it is not similar. Like, I watched a documentary of that actual story, which is in the news. You can look it up. This guy thought that he was a member of Pantera because he was just a very big fan of Pantera, and maybe he was like schizophrenic. So he told all his friends, yeah, I'm in Pantera and I write these songs. And what? So then years later, this guy showed up and did this crazy, horrible thing. It's like,
I was always interested in the behavior of crowds if something sets them off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or that I'm very interested in the assassinations, Robert and John Kennedy and Martin Luther King. The chaos that happens immediately after, where things could get obscured, lost. People don't know what things blur. You don't know what. You could say I have no idea what happened. Noise just 5 minutes after the shots rang out.
Yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right, Tom. It's a fascinating concept, and there's a difference between. So, in the sake of something conspiratorial, there's a plan, but when it comes down to an act of hysteria, like somebody just either in madness or they've misrepresented or misidentified some aggression, and then they just show up and it's like boom, boom, boom. And I mean, we have an issue with that. But it's like it's a paradox, and we're not. I don't think a story like this is necessarily political.
No.
But what I will say is it speaks a lot to the intentions of the human heart, especially in a herd capacity. Because most people are just going to a show to go to a show, but there's one person maybe who shows up who thinks, I'm more important than the people, I'm more important than the show, I'm more important than the law. And it's that self-importance that you want to study. It's that disassociation from humanity and the distancing. And then all of a sudden they can do this act. But your guy in that story, what is that? Like, is like, because that's the thing. We're talking about the nuts and bolts realities of gun law and the human spirit. But that's not what this story is. This, like, that being is, what is that? Like, I'm not saying you have to tell us. I'm saying, what inspired you to do that? I'll settle for that, because I don't,
Boy, oh boy.
I'm a big believer in mystery in the text. Remember how we had clarity, clarity, clarity? I'm mystery, mystery, mystery. I like there to be some obscured points.
Yeah, unanswered questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm a big believer in, you don't have to explain everything.
No, no, you don't. It's better.
There's a classic novel, The Big Sleep by Dashiell Hammett, and in the book, Philip Marlowe goes on just following a murderer, and in the book, 6 people are murdered, and the author only explains where 5 of them. The 6th one just gets lost in all the shuffle. And when they ask him later on, he goes, in The Big Sleep, what happened to that 6th murder? Did you ever explain? He goes, sometimes you don't ever get the answers. So it's one of those things. So this here, I had just probably read something about people that disappear in crowds, or people that just pop up out of nowhere, or they're walking around a corner and you go around the corner and the person's gone. It just happens a lot. And I just image of what happens. Well, see, the guy in the story came to a point we had a choice. The guy knocked, it's only $3 for a cake, you know, or there's my girlfriend. Should I go say hello, enjoy the festival, the music? That was his turning point. He could have said, yeah, screw that guy, and gone said, grabbed his girlfriend, and they would have been possibly witnesses to a killing. There might not have. It might not have happened if maybe it's he was being pulled along by some cosmic current that you know he was to be blamed somehow, some way he was going to be blamed for that.
Yeah,
Right?
no. I mean, that's the whole thing about it is it's like there's like that turning point in fate. There is a pivot point, like you're saying, and he bought the cake or not bought the cake, hang out with the girl. I mean, the only way to make it more agonizing is to have her shrieking after, no, you got the wrong guy, you got the wrong guy. And then these vigilantes are just going to like back a Chevy over his head or something, you know?
Yeah.
You never really know how wild it's going to get. Because if that's a biker, say it's a Hell's Angel,
Oh yeah.
last time I checked, those guys use a hammer to kill a butterfly. You know what I'm saying?
And
Like they're not.
there was a famous
Yeah.
incident in a rock concert in the late '60s where Hell's Angels were in the crowd and something happened
Yep.
and somebody got
Yeah.
knifed. I mean,
It might have been the Be-In with Joplin and the Grateful Dead and all that, if I remember correctly. And I think you had some beatnik royalty there and some hippie royalty. Yeah, no, that was a little bit of an issue. I was watching a documentary about that phenomena, like Ken Kesey and Merry
hmm,
Pranksters, and they glossed over that because that they were in the middle of that. Kesey and the Hells Angels and all that, they were for a while they were interconnected. He used them as security, to my
wow.
understanding.
That's the guy who wrote Cuckoo's Nest, right?
Correct. Yeah,
Wow.
Beatnik royalty. He wasn't. I mean, he's not considered a beatnik, but he should be because he hung out with enough of them where it really makes no difference. And he had Hunter Thompson there. He had Neil Cassidy there. He had Ginsberg there. I mean, how much between that and the musical royalty like Janis Joplin and the Grateful Dead? I mean, you can't get more counterculture than that. You know what
Right.
I mean? And I know about the Beats. I read
And
a
he probably
lot
didn't
about that.
stand
So,
out anyway. He probably fit right in with the crowd, Kesey. He was right in it. No one looked more than twice at him. Like, oh, so
well,
interesting.
yeah. I mean, the whole Haight Ashbury acid movement that represented the prime focus of the counterculture came out of Kesey's interface with the CIA, and where he got because the CIA was developing that stuff as a mind control system.
Hmm.
And the idea that, well, oopsie daisy, we just make this thing and now it got loose. Darn it. Don't you
Uh,
hate when things get loose? So there's argument to be made as to whether or not the whole thing wasn't a psyop. But that would be conspiratorial, Tom, and we gotta be
yeah.
very careful when we talk like that.
Yeah.
You
Or
know
just a
how it goes.
happenstance.
Let me see if I can fold my chins anymore.
Hmm.
Uh Okay, well, that was a great story, Tom. You got anything else to lay on us?
Yeah, I got a little piece.
The hour is growing late, so
Yeah.
let's hear it.
I've got a little piece called Wheels of Hell.
Nice.
All right, a little shorter. All right. Larry, you shouldn't have take those tires from Doblo's place, said Bub as they drove along Highway 44. Doblo's junkyard occupied 10 acres along the highway. Known for its mean owner, he also had the meanest dog in the state. At least most assumed it had to be a dog. All anyone ever heard of it saw of it was a shadow during the day and loud growls at night. It could have been a bear for all anyone knew. Don't you worry about nothing, said Larry, finishing up his beer and tossing the bottle out the window. The bottle landed with a satisfying crash. Delinquents since the age of 4, Larry and Bub spent most of their 23 years in and out of jail. Petty theft, shoplifting, assault, and speeding made their rap sheet look like a season of Dukes of Hazzard. Their one weapons possession charge almost resulted in their shooting each other. He keeps track of his stuff. He'll miss those tires for sure. No, he won't. Take it easy. How'd you get past the big dog? Easy. I took some of your mom's pills and put them in a hot dog. Sleeping in 2 minutes. Wow, nice thinking. Where are we going? I thought we'd go over to the races, see if we can get some cash with these tires. These here tires. Now you're talking. Sutter's Racetrack had been a staple for entertainment for over 40 years in Barton County. Weekends were always packed for pre-NASCAR trials. On Wednesday nights, no one but diehards and never good enough for NASCAR drivers showed up, perfect for Larry and Bub and their new wheels. The night's purse totaled $450 for the best time. Another purse gave $300 for second place. Not many people cared about these races, although there were enough people who'd watch anything to half fill the stands. Larry and Bub's '85 Barracuda turned heads as they drove through the gates onto the track. The boys had shined it all up the best they could. A paint job with some old house paint gave it a dull but clean look. Ain't that paint the paint your mama used to paint the outhouse with? Asked Chick, tonight's official. Yeah, it looks better on the outhouse though, said Wilbur. Ha ha, said Larry. You'll be in the outhouse after you see me shoot past to win tonight. Yeah, we'll see about that. Case of Coors says you don't even finish, said Wilbur. Done, said Bob, shaking Wilbur's hairy mitt. Bub sniffed it and made a sour face. Where'd you have this hand, Wilbur? Wouldn't you like to know, grinned Wilbur, scratching his butt. All right, let's get the show on the road, said Chick. Since you guys have made such an entrance, why not be in the first race? Sure thing, said Larry. 5 cars sat on the starting line, their engines revving. Larry put himself in the middle. He watched Chick with a tent, waiting for the flag to start them. The seconds dragged by until Larry saw the flag drop. With their new tires, the Barracuda shot out into the lead. The race consisted of 5 laps. Winner was the one who made it around first and in one piece. If Larry knew one thing, was how to top out run someone. He had been doing it all his life. As they rounded the first turn, the car gave a lurch. It ran straight at the delivery gates and through them without a pause. Larry, what the hell are you doing? Said Bob. This is cheating. I can't control the car, shouted Larry. It's going without any help. There's no way, said Bob. Look, Larry took his hands off the wheel. The automobile shot onto the main road, headed south. No one looked their way as they shot through the strip mall and out onto Highway 44. Larry, I don't like this. Maybe we can jump out. Not at this speed. Look, Bob pointed. Up ahead, on the left, was Doblo's junkyard. The Barracuda rolled up to the front gate. Lights came on, and the gates rolled open. The car entered the lot and went to the office of Mr. Hobbs, owner of Doblo. The doors opened and spit Larry and Bob onto the ground. Hobbs stepped out of his office. I see my tires have been returned to me. He snapped his fingers, and the gates rolled closed. The tall, thin man stood before them, looking past his long, crooked nose at the 2 thieves. We can explain, said Larry. Hobbs held up his hand. No need. I was young once. I could understand the need for speed. Larry thought fast for once in his life. We brought your tires back. Doesn't that count for something? Yes, it does. I'll give you 10 seconds instead of 5. 10 seconds for what? To hide. You see, Scratch hasn't eaten in almost a week, and he does love a good hunt. Good luck, boys. Hobbs went back into his office and opened the blinds. He stood watching the 2 boys. Bob heard a deep growling come from a pile of old tires. A paw stepped into view. It didn't belong to any dog. Bob screamed and ran, with Larry right behind him. Moments later, 2 sets of screams echoed through the junkyard.
Oh, that's splendid. Well, now, again, there's a few little tweaks of mystery here. The paw wasn't a dog. So what is it? Is it a bear? Is it a werewolf? Like what did this guy have in his junkyard?
One of those demon things from out of Ghostbusters that,
Oh, a Terror dog. Yeah. Terror dog. The what was that? The Zool, manifestation of Zool.
Yep.
I better know that. I love Ghostbusters. Um, okay, so really nice voice, really trippy. I mean, really nice dialogue coming, like building up the characters, talking about the race. There's world building, all of it like smooth like butter. No, there's no clunk, flows from beginning to end. And the car just suddenly is like, nope, it's magic time. Now you don't have control. So they all bust out and then they follow it back to the junkyard to their doom. So that's, see folks, that's what you call beginning, middle, and end right there. Beautiful first act, second act, third act. How many words was that?
900 even.
So that's less than a flash, man, and it's complete. Like that's a complete story. You can't argue with that. And Tom made his point, and it ended with a real creepy neck twister situation where now, all right, boys, you're doomed. Now you get a few extra seconds, but you're dead anyway, as the screams
Yeah, I'll
evidence
give you 10
plainly.
seconds instead of 5. What?
It's beautiful, to be honest with you. No fat on that story, but given that word budget, you did a lot with what you had, man. Seriously, very, very impressive.
Yeah.
Um, we could sit here all day sawing our fiddle about 100,000 words and big, huge, but there's a talent, there's a special talent that comes with finishing something up that's short, it's complete when it's short. Like there's always going to be like, what if we had, and there's always going to be people who are going to say, well, I want more, or I want this, or, but that's a complete story. We know what happens, beginning, middle, and end.
And we
900
have
words.
background on the guys, right? We have a
Yeah.
mysterious junkyard. We have you notice that when he says, "Okay, good luck, boys," he went back into his office because he didn't want to be out there. He didn't want to get chased too, or whatever, by whatever it was. You know.
Now
Yeah.
there's a lot. Well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. You have the horror, the menace of the old man is instantaneous, and that's its own diagnostic. Like, you want to talk about a story autopsy, that's something we should get back to,
Hmm.
because the minute that guy comes out, there's dread, and we have tension because we're like, magic cars do up, it's doing what it wants to do, magic
Actually,
car.
it's not the car, the tires,
Fair enough.
right?
My point, the tires are swimming home like salmon swimming upstream, but the car is involved slightly.
Oh yeah.
But what I'm saying is car, tires. Point is, magic tires, magic car. Now these people are going to get judged. They're going to get dealt with. And then the minute this guy walks out, well, you guys are dead meat. Here's my terror dog. Here's my here's. So really, though, folks, the thing you got to think about when it comes to this story is how he did that beginning, middle, and end. There's a secret about writing. Not a lot of people know it. Not a lot of people talk about it, but it's pacing. Pacing does everything. Okay, it's what it's all about. And in this particular case, what you have here is you have a beginning, middle, and end within 900 words. That's a feat. It's a talent. And even if you're writing a huge, voluminous novel, if you can write a beginning, middle, and end in 900 words, it's going to help your chapter game. Some people, because whatever chapter you have, you could write whatever you want, whatever details, whatever this. Some people say, oh, you overwrite, but the pace, there has to be a narrative driver. It has to be beginning, middle, end, beginning, middle, end. It has to constantly be moving, because otherwise people are going to dry up. Their attention span is going to dry up unless the narrative is being driven. And that's what doing something, these 900, 1,000 word, 2,000 word exercises, they're going to help your chapter game.
Hmm.
So, I mean, Tom, no doubt you can back me up here. You don't outline, sir. You're a pantser, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the fact that you could do 900 or 900,000 words, you can do them in the same type of range. The voice is solid. I mean, doing those short, and you with short stories, man, seriously, like your shorts are always quality.
Yeah,
So,
it's once in a while I like to do something really, really short as a exercise in
Yeah.
keeping it small and tight. And I mean, there's a
Mhm.
lot that happens in that story, you know,
Mhm.
and a lot that happens before it started. They were driving by, they saw the tires, they stole them, put them on the car, and we caught them driving to the racetrack.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, well, it was definitely deep, deep south, definitely Dukes of Hazzard territory,
Yeah,
you
right
know,
on.
and
That's the whole thing when you write shorter stuff. It's like back in the day, you had a column, or if you have an internet piece, you have to convey everything in the words allotted. That's where I got my whole word budget thing from. The guy wants 1,000 words. He doesn't want 1,100 words. He doesn't
mm,
want 900 words. He wants 1,000 words. So you got to make sure you can do everything needs doing in 1,000 words. Because some people will be like, "Oh, why write it so short? Why limit yourself?" It's like sometimes the limitations are instructive. Sometimes the limitations are instructive. That's what we're trying to tell you, folks. We're not.
mm,
I mean, this isn't. We. It's not like, oh, we're for arbitrary. No, there's a lot to learn. I know I learned a lot from writing short budgets. Flash exercises will help you out immensely with your chapters and your pacing, and consequently the flow of your narrative.
mm.
So, thank you for reading that, Tom. That was some good stuff, man.
Oh, anytime. In fact, I think I might have enough short pieces like that to I might be able to turn it into like a Vela work. You know, just every week, boom, 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 do all like 7 or 8 short
Yeah.
pieces, and then that
So
could
long
work.
as so long as you promise me to put it all in a collection and publish it one day
Yep,
for an actual hardback, which I will buy.
I'll do
Um,
that.
and hopefully the listeners out there will. Well, time flies when you're having fun, folks, and that's what it is to be involved with creativity, to talk creativity. It's just for Tom and I, people like us. It's fun. Um, so Tom, why don't you give us your plugs, man? What are you selling today?
I have 2 short story collections, Dwellers in the Shadows, and I have one. The second one is it still out there? Both on Amazon Kindle, paperback, ebook, hardcover. It's on Draft to Digital. It's on Kobo. It's on a whole bunch of platforms.
Mm.
It's been the reviews are pretty good on Goodreads, for whatever that's worth. And you know, I have
Mm.
as soon as we get our kitchen remodel, I'm gonna spit out. I'm gonna put out 2, maybe 3 more collections. A Pencom collection, a Shirella collection, and maybe those shorts. Be nice.
Please do. Please do. More the merrier. Um, I've been selling Nidhogg Chronicles, Crusade of Shadows. I've been doing chapter reads of that on Monday. That's going to probably be what's going on, maybe throughout the rest of the year. I don't know. Um, and I love that book. Go check it out. Check out yesterday's episode for a read, and you'll see the link in the comments section. Head over to joeswritersclub.com. Check out our author bios and blogs. Go to joeswriters.club. Sign up for our forums. Head over to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of our social media, JWC. Most importantly, head over to YouTube. Please like and subscribe and share this content with anyone who you think would benefit from it, especially what's going on with these story autopsy shows where we go over the process, because it's like when you got the voice, you got the voice. It's very, very, it's almost inescapable. And that's the thing about JWC. We can't help you become a better writer. You have to do that yourself. You have to put the work in, the discipline, or in my case, the obsession. That's how you become a good writer. But JWC is trying to help you become a different writer. Sometimes different makes all the difference, just that little bit. And you pick up little tricks of the trade. No one invents the color blue. Everybody has to stand on somebody else's shoulders, and you got to learn secrets. You got to find out, how did the great masters of creativity that came before me, how did they do what they did? We're not saying we're the masters. I'm saying Tom and I have read enough where we know little tricks of the trade. We know like how to quantify, and all we want to do is help. We're not these, there's no gatekeeping here. We just want to help you be better creatives, because that should be the attitude of everyone in life. It should be to help other, because it's all done in the spirit of play. We're not, this isn't a war. Creativity isn't a war. It's done in the spirit of play. So bear that in mind. And thank you so much for listening, watching, checking us out. We look forward to seeing you again real soon. I want to thank Tom again for doing the show with me. And check out our stuff when we drop our links, folks. Give us a ring. We really like it if you went out and got our stuff. Proof's in the pudding. Buy a book. See if you like the book. You heard what Tom's doing, what he's writing. It's good stuff. So thanks a lot for listening, and take care. You guys stay creative, all right?
See you later, guys.